mental technologies, being able to take the video transcoding experience from an overnight experience to something that you do in the background while you're checking email or surfing on the web. And finally, with folding at home, 3x speed-ups over the competition with this application. This is going to be a very important application in helping to cure diseases, and something that every GeForce user with the GeForce 8 series, 9 series, or GTX280 series is going to be able to take advantage of in help solving that massive computing problem. So, with that, let's move and talk about our graphics processing architecture, which is the other mode that is focused on delivering the ultimate gaming experience. So, I want to start by talking about sort of what state-of-the-art 3D was when we launched GeForce 8800. So this was our demo, Adrian demo for GeForce 8800, and what we achieved with Adrian was a very photorealistic character, highly complex, lots of geometry, a very detailed skin. But at the end of the day, it was a single character in a fairly plain cube map environment, not a lot going on. With GeForce GTX 200, what we're moving to is multiple characters, multiple highly complex, highly realistic characters in an immersive environment, and these characters move both from a facial and a body animation in a very realistic manner. So to demonstrate this technology running, I would like to bring up our demo manager, Curtis Beeson, to show off the new technology. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Curtis Beeson. I'm an engineer, not a real marketing guy, so please take it easy on me. How was lunch? Pretty good? I know we've all had some lunch. Now we're in a darkened room. I'm going to try to keep you awake until I hand the mic back to Jason Hall. It's been my privilege to write demos here at NVIDIA for just shy of 10 years now. My first projects were on the Riva TNT, where what we were trying to demonstrate is that we could actually have two textures on an object at the same time. You could have color and reflection, or color and shadow, just not color and reflection and shadow. That would be crazy. The other thing that we highlighted on some of those demos is that we could have 8,000, maybe even 10,000 polygons in the scene. Well, it's a couple of years later, so without further ado, I'd like to present the GTX280 demo. So if we could kill the lights and switch to that. So there are a couple of things that we wanted to do differently this time around, as Jason Paul mentioned. First of all, our last, photorealistic character, Adrienne, she really was just a single character floating in space. And then from there, we did the NVIDIA human head demo, which I believe David Kirk showed earlier today. We wanted to move past, just those simpler demos. In fact, I did a quick graphics lecture at a nearby college, and one of the students raised their hand, and they said, "You've now achieved photorealistic skin. What's next?" And perhaps it was a bit glib, but I backed the camera up about 2 feet, and I said, "Well, this is the disembodied bald head floating in space demo. Obviously, we have to, there's a lot more runway here. We have to, continue to up the ante." So here, on G80, G92, that pretty much saturated the graphics chip. Now we're actually able to apply that same technology. That skin shader is on both our warrior character here as well as Medusa. Each of these characters are more tessellated, more complex, have more intricate shaders than the Adrienne character did. In fact, all in all, we have about, 3 million triangles that we're rendering per frame. That's a 30,000% improvement over Riva TNT. Not bad for 10 years. So here's the wireframe. Again, very tessellated characters. If we can zoom in on his head, you can see we've actually, like with Adrienne, we modeled his hair out of long triangle strips. But here we actually also had to do his whiskers. Naturally we tried to be frugal and just paint them on, but that didn't work. So we really had to go in and model all of that. Beyond just the pixel shading that goes into something like the skin renderer and all of the tessellation and vertices, we're also doing some interesting things to hardware accelerate animation. So if we can go to, a shot like this. So I don't know how many of you might recall the sliders that we had in the dawn and dusk and many of our demos previously, but we could only give you about 5 sliders on any of those demos, and there was a technical reason for that. The way that we do our facial morphing is that we used to store those, we call them blend shapes, we used to store those in the vertex attributes going into the vertex shader. The problem with that is you can only have 16 vertex attributes going into a vertex shader. So by the time you have your coordinate, your normal, your texture coordinates, things like that, you only have a couple left, and every one of these blend shapes or morph targets takes 2 registers. So we could only give you so many sliders. Now we're a little more familiar with DirectX 10. Performance is much higher, so we're using a feature of DirectX 10 called texture buffers. We're essentially storing these mesh deformations as texture objects. We're then fetching those in the vertex shader, and because we're not limited to a number like 16, we can do virtually an unlimited number of blend shapes in the vertex shader. So that's what we're doing here. That's why he has a much more nuanced facial performance. And when we create the final user interface, we should be able to give you a bank of 60 sliders and just let you crank them all up. Their face will look crazy, but it'll be fun. The next thing we're doing is the lighting in the scene is a lot more complex than what we've traditionally done. And these vertex shaders that are fetching all of the texture buffers for doing the morphing and the skinning can become expensive if you do them over and over again. So we're taking advantage of another thing, which is vertex stream out. So we have some render passes that just render a vertex buffer, and rather than rendering to the screen, they're rendering into another vertex buffer, only it's doing all of that animation calculation and streaming out into world space. That way we can reuse that result when we're doing the shadow pass on his head, the body, the floor, from the fire, and then the depth pass and the final color pass on the front.